Welcome back. This is Around the Crown. We are talking all things Sacramento Kings and beyond. Join the royal family by hitting that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, you might as well smash up that like button. Calvin, I really like this new beat. You like this jam?
Yeah, man. It's fresh.
It's making me feel pretty good, pretty excited. Unfortunately, the Kings lose again tonight. But hey, we're going to talk about De'Aaron Fox. We're going to talk about some trades. We're going to make a special announcement as far as Calvin and I being in California next week, and add a couple Kings games. What do you want to talk about first, Cal?
Let's talk about the fox in the room.
Yeah.
Get that out of the way.
All right. So, De'Aaron Fox has a sore ankle again. What is this? 5 games in a row.
It's very sore, apparently.
Have you ever had a sore ankle that lasts this long?
I've had sore ankles since I was a junior in high school. I've rolled, sprained my ankles, broken them both, tons of times. Been on crutches countless times. Yeah, my ankles are always sore.
I think my ankle is probably one of my best attributes. Maybe it's my second best attribute because my ankles are awesome. I never have any problems with my ankles.
What makes your ankles so good? Like what? How are they your second favorite attribute?
I don't know. Not favorite, but just best attribute. Like I never have to worry about my ankles. I know they're showing up to work every day. They do their job, and I don't have to worry about them. Yeah. I've even like jumped and landed on my ankle sideways, and I can just walk it off afterwards, and I'm good.
You're very lucky.
I don't know what it is. My knees are jacked, and that's probably because my ankles are just like pulling on my knees the whole time. But so I can't really, get in De'Aaron Fox's head here because I've never had a sore ankle. But I would imagine that if you're a professional basketball player and your ankle is sore and you're in trade rumors, you might want to say something. You might want to do something to like make your fan base feel like you're not just trying to sit out to get traded for another guy who's pissed off and sitting out because he doesn't want to play for his team either.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I mean, we joke, but this is really a pretty serious deal, no matter what way you look at it, because it either means that De'Aaron Fox just doesn't want to play for this team anymore, or that the Kings are holding him out because they're looking to trade him, which is very serious for the team in either aspect.
Yeah. So I read a report here today, and it says, there's been reports Fox, the Kings point guard, is on the block because his presence with Tyrese Haliburton is not working out. Apparently, the Knicks GM, Scott Perry, who was also in Sacramento and is the one that was responsible for drafting De'Aaron Fox, has been linked in some rumors or has had interest in De'Aaron. He still believes in him. I mentioned that today after the game, De'Aaron Fox was seen laughing it up with some Knicks players. He was talking to some coaching staff on the Knicks team. I could only imagine, as a player, everybody wants to play in New York, right? Everyone wants to play in Madison Square Garden. It's a little bit more of a load on your shoulders than playing in Sacramento. But what do you see in this? Do you think the Knicks could potentially be interested? We've heard talks that Julius Randle could be available. Mm-hmm. Maybe De'Aaron Fox surprises everyone and ends up in New York.
Perhaps. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be surprised that if the Knicks are interested. That the Kemba Walker experiment has not worked out. Derrick Rose has been hurt for a while now, so they definitely are in need of a point guard. And I think ideally they would like to keep Derrick Rose as their sixth man coming off the bench. So they're looking for a starting caliber point guard. So it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. But I think a lot of teams should be interested in De'Aaron Fox. He's a very, very talented player and plays a pretty important position.
Do you want to elaborate on that Fox versus Sabonis question we got earlier? Did you have any more input on that?
I mean, just that I agree with you. Sabonis is a very good player, and he fits an area of need that the Kings have, a starting power forward, a legit starting power forward. he's not a defensive stopper, so it's not like the team really is making any ground in that aspect. But again, I at the end of the day, I think you just need more talent on this team. So getting somebody like that would be a win for sure. If I'm going to trade De'Aaron Fox, though, I'm looking to get maybe another player out of that deal to go along with Sabonis. A draft pick would be really nice if I could get that as well. I would just want, it doesn't have to be a substantially bigger package, but I just want a little bit more than just our best player for definitely one of their best players, if not their best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would need at least a draft pick in that deal. Like you said, right? If it's a lateral move, best player for best player, does that really help out the team? I'm not really sure. We showed a trade in the last podcast that I really like, and that would be Fox for Miles Turner,
Karis LeVert, and a pick.
And a first-round pick from Indiana. I would much be more willing to do a deal like that than a Fox for Sabonis straight up.
Yeah. But then you also think about it, like you said, our best player for your best player isn't enough. No one trade is going to be enough for this team. So if there's another deal or a couple deals that are going to be coming after that trade where you do Fox for Sabonis and then you add draft picks or fill out the roster in other ways with other deals after that, at the end of the day, I would be okay with that because I do think that it's going to require probably at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 moves, whether it's acquiring players or draft picks, before I feel like, okay, this season is over, but we're making laying the right foundation to move into an off season, which could lead to success the following year.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like everyone wants to talk about Buddy Hield, so we can move on and we can talk about Buddy here. You know a nickname I haven't heard in a long time? Buddy Buckets.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say that. I haven't heard the announcers. I haven't heard that in a while.
You got to make buckets in order to get called Buddy Buckets.
I mean, you remember Dougie McBuckets? Even when he was struggling, they still called him Dougie McBuckets. But now I'm seeing Buddy Bust. I'm seeing Buddy Bricks.
Buddy Fuckets.
Buddy Fuckets. Buddy Chuckets. Oh, man. So many good nicknames for this guy. And, yeah, having Buddy Hield on your team is an emotional roller coaster because there are games where you're just like, this guy is playing incredible. We had earlier on in the season, didn't we have somebody call us out, right? They was like, this is just a bash Buddy channel, and you guys just bash Buddy. You don't give him, the credit he deserves. And, I mean, I understand. Maybe you like Buddy a little bit more than we do, but for me, it's more of like when players play well, we praise them.
Buddy gone.
When players don't play well,
Fred,
then we're critical of them. And dude hasn't been playing well, so that's why we're bashing Buddy, I guess you could say. But, for me, Calvin, we talk about his problems, right? Like, oh, he's not a good defender. Oh, he's not good at dribbling the ball. He turns the ball over too much. But for me lately, it just seems like the shot selection is what drives me nuts.
Yeah. There's everything about him drives me nuts. Like he's a playground player. Like that's who he is. He's one of those guys that will just, at any time he gets on the floor, I think he has to have like the game plan or the play, whatever it is, in his head somewhere.
I'm gonna shoot the ball.
But it's just way, way in the back there. And he's just running around. He's like, okay, I'm going to come off this screen. If the shot's not there, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it anyway. That's how he plays. Like, I'm all for having a ton of confidence. Everybody who plays a competitive sport, once you get to a certain level, if you don't have confidence in yourself, you're not going to succeed anywhere.
Yeah.
So you should definitely be confident as a player, but
overconfidence is the same
smart.
problem. Yeah.
You also have to be smart.
Yeah. Buddy brain fart. I like that one.
I would totally take Ben McLemore back on this team over Buddy right now.
Where is he now? Is he Houston or Portland?
Portland.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be willing to take Ben back on because Ben's learned a lot since he's left Sacramento. And Buddy Hield just seems to be the same guy over and over again. But like I said, right, like when he's playing,
Buddy has to leave Sacramento and then he'll learn.
When he's playing well, everyone's like, don't trade Buddy. You can't trade him. He's the only scorer we have. If he hadn't put up 30 points, we would have lost the game. And I understand that logic, but at the same time, losing teams, like somebody gets the points, right? We've seen guys in the past that are quote-unquote fool's gold, right, where you have a shitty team. This guy's averaging 25 points a game. You put him on a good team, and he just falls off the map, right? Because if you're scoring 100 points a game and you're losing and you're down 20 or 30 every game, somebody is still scoring for you. Somebody's still getting points. And that's kind of what I see Buddy is a guy that's just going to kind of get buckets when he can, pat the stats, but it doesn't really translate to wins. In the times that it does translate to wins, it's so like just not consistent, right? So the days that you do win a game because of Buddy Hield doesn't outweigh the games you lose because of a guy like Buddy Hield.
100%. 100%. And it's just, we talk so much about culture and trying to change the perception of this team and of this franchise, both from the inside out, right? Like at this point, I don't even know how much the players believe in it. We hear guys like Tyrese say all the time, you know, I'm not going to let all that, the years of losing and the state of this franchise get to me. It's not going to change my attitude, how I come into work every day. But when you lose over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then you have all that stuff that's already on top of you, it just applies more pressure. It's kind of hard not to feel that at some point, you know. And then the other part is you now have to change that internally, get everyone to buy in, and you have to go out and you have to prove it to the rest of the league so that they respect you. Like, that's an uphill battle, man. That's a really uphill battle.
Sean, we talked a little bit about Fox. I don't really know much about sore ankles because my ankles are amazing, but Calvin gave his insight on De'Aaron Fox, and we don't know why he's still got a sore ankle. Is it 2 weeks now? Has it been 2 weeks?
I don't know why he still has a sore ankle, but I'm fairly confident. I would be willing to put down a lot of money that he would not damage it further by playing.
You think if the Kings were in the playoff race here, he'd be playing?
Absolutely, he'd be playing.
That's the thing about a sore ankle, right? Is like there's no way to prove it or disprove it. You know, like if you go and you see the doctor and you're like, my ankle's sore. If you're like, my ankle's broken, they could do an x-ray and they'd be like, no, it's not broken. But how can they tell if it's sore or not?
Yeah. And everybody's different, right? I mean, look at Paul George. The guy played for weeks with a torn ligament in his elbow, his shooting arm. And then finally, he got to a point where either it must have hurt him too much or the team just said, look, we're not doing as well as we thought we were anyway. You should really just rest and get this taken care of. But he played for a long time with a torn ligament in his shooting elbow. I'm pretty sure De'Aaron Fox can play with a sore ankle. Maybe there's some medical report that they're still waiting on, and it'll come out that it's more serious than that. But when you go out and you warm up consistently, you know, if you're on the court warming up, that right there means you're close to playing.
Yeah,
it's a game time decision.
Not 5 games away from returning.
Yeah,
I saw a meme this week that had it was like Kurt Angle won an Olympic gold medal with a broken frickin' neck, and De'Aaron Fox can't play with a sore ankle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's different. Some people are more insane than others. They'll play with, you know, ridiculous injuries and when they really shouldn't be playing. But it does make you think, you know. That's another thing we talk about all the time with this team is toughness and a leader and all that stuff, you know. And if your leader decides a couple minutes before the game, nah, man, sorry, my ankle doesn't really feel that good. I
got a boo-boo.
I don't want to, bash De'Aaron Fox too much here because there's just a lot that I don't know about the situation. I haven't talked to him. I haven't talked to any of the trainers or the coaching staff or anything like that. And maybe it really is that they're just going to trade him, and that's why he's not playing. But it's not a good look. It definitely is not a good look.
You know who had a sore ankle that couldn't play just a couple weeks ago? Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he had more than a sore ankle, according to him.
And we saw him jumping up and down and storming off the field. I try and look for positives because everything is so negative all the time. But, I mean, at least he's not doing that, right? At least he's not doing that. Yep. Someone in the chat said De'Aaron Fox is requesting a trade without requesting a trade.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, I got a quote here from Alvin Gentry. This is not from tonight. This is after the last loss. Alvin Gentry was asked on how much the impending February 10th trade deadline is impacting his team. And he says, quote unquote, "I can't answer that. These couple weeks, there's going to be rumors out there nobody's talked about." What does this mean to you, Calvin?
It means that something's probably going to happen, something major here. That's what we're all waiting for anyway, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to say Alvin Gentry is a saint. I don't know. You can say whatever you want about him. You can say that he's not a good coach or that he's not the right fit for the team. Maybe both of those statements are true. I'm still pretty confident that the players should shoulder at least 50% of the blame for what's happening, if not more.
At least.
But just put yourself in his shoes for 5 minutes, right? Can you imagine how difficult it must be to go into the locker room every day and try to say things, positive things, and, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to turn it around this way, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you're a bad team in high school, you're checked out at some point. There's nothing a coach can come in and really say that it's going to make you all of a sudden think hell yeah, we got this,
Yeah.
But if you're a professional and you get paid to play, I feel for Alvin Gentry, who's been in a lot of tough situations in the league. This might be the toughest that he's ever been in before.
I mean, he said that a month ago, right? He's after that loss, he's this is one of the worst moments of my NBA career, being around all this. It's if you were to take a guy and you wanted to break him, Sacramento is definitely a place where you could do that. But hey, he's staying strong. I mean,
and this is exactly why I said I didn't want Doug Christie to take over in the middle of the season, because
you wanted poor Alvin to get all the losses.
Well, if you really believe in Doug Christie long term, I just don't think that breaking his spirit completely right in his first year as a professional coach in the NBA is the way to go about it. Let him, be the side piece that doesn't get all the blame and still has everyone's support,
Mm-hmm.
Get the team to a better spot, let him learn a little bit more, let him spend an entire year on the bench first, and then go from there. I realize that that's not if you're thinking about picking a head coach for next season, that convolutes things. If your long-term plan is we want to groom Doug Christie, then it's who's the filler guy? We're not picking the right choice, but I just don't think that it was a good situation to throw Doug Christie into.
Yeah, I agree. We got to give a shout out to Priest here. Kings fan since 1968.
Wow. It's a lot of suffering.
I mean, I'm telling everybody the suffering is here, but it's just going to make everything sweeter at the end. Any goal that you have, the harder the road is to get to that goal, the sweeter that it is to finally make it. I don't know what that goal is at this point for Sacramento. Is it the playoffs? Is it just making a trade here? What is that goal? But, hopefully we'll get some clarity here in the next couple weeks.
Hopefully.
Speaking of which, The NBA trade deadline is coming up really, really fast. February 10th is the deadline. I saw today the Clippers make Serge Ibaka, Marcus Morris, and Eric Bledsoe available. Calvin, are you going to pursue any of these guys? What would you be willing to give up?
I'm definitely, I would call and ask about Serge Ibaka and Marcus Morris for sure. Eric Bledsoe makes no sense to me. This team doesn't need another point guard, especially another point guard that is kind of like a score-first mentality type person. I like Eric Bledsoe as an individual player. He's a good defender, all that stuff. But Marcus Morris fits a lot more area of need for this team. Wing, outside shooting. And Ibaka, again, power forward. He's a little bit past his prime. I don't know how the Kings would use him rotation-wise. You know, maybe you start him, but he only plays like 20 to 22 minutes a game, and you keep bringing in people off the bench. I certainly wouldn't want to give up a huge deal for either one of those two. But the Kings have a lot of tradable players on this roster, so there's got to be a deal that would probably work for both sides.
Vinny, can you show my screen here? What do you think about a deal like this, Cal? I mean, if I'm the Clippers, I want more from Sacramento. I'm just trying to figure out how we would make this work. You know, they want to move Ibaka. They want to move Morris. I don't think Buddy Hield is enough. Maybe you need to throw in a pick, or would you want to throw in a guy like Marvin Bagley, or how could you make a trade like this work?
I mean, there's probably a couple different ways to do it. I don't know. I don't think that either one of these guys. I think there are a lot of other players out there that I would try to trade for first before trading for these two. But that being said, if you ended up with both of these guys, I still think that's an improvement from what the team is now.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw someone earlier in the chat was saying, you know, nobody in the NBA has made a trade. And, you know, that's not completely true. We just saw the Knicks acquire Cam Reddish. And where did Bol end up going after the first trade fell through? Miami?
Detroit.
Oh, Detroit? No.
Oh, where did he go after?
Yeah. Was it Miami?
I don't remember now.
Anyways, we've seen 2 trades so far happen this NBA season. But, yeah, I think everybody is waiting on, and, you know, I'm trying to make it through this entire podcast without saying Ben Simmons, but I guess I'm not going to be able to do that. But I think everybody is basically waiting on that. And we've seen this in the past. We saw it with Jimmy Butler. We saw it with some of these others where there's a prized free agent or a trade piece, and everybody's waiting on that. And once that domino falls,
Celtics.
The Celtics, yes.
Now.
Thanks, with Taco Fall, right?
Taco Fall's in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. And, it's like once that first domino falls, then all these other moves start to happen. We heard this week that the Kings are no longer interested. You can cut that, Vinny. Are no longer interested in Ben Simmons. I don't know exactly if I believe that or not, or if what Calvin says with the ankle injury with Fox, if it's a smoke and mirrors thing, if it's just a dance that's happening. But it is kind of weird that, you know, we haven't really heard of any other big suitors for Ben Simmons. Now we're seeing De'Aaron Fox sit out all these games with a sore ankle. It's a very, very weird situation, Calvin.
Yeah, it is a weird situation. But, you know, that it happens in negotiations all the time where one side eventually just hits their limit, you know, and they feel like they have to move on or look for something else. For the rest of us, we're just waiting to see what else that is.
I mean, you guys can't hate Vivek. He's the one that kept the Kings in Sacramento, and for that reason, I will never hate him.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Oh, James Ham should be hopefully on the Royal Report on Friday. I think we're going to film with him. All right, Calvin, are we ready to make this announcement?
Yep. Give him the air horn, Vinny.
Bam, bam, bam.
Or the laugh track.
He's figuring all the buttons. All right, guys, so Calvin and I will be at 2 Kings games next month, the 8th and the 9th, back-to-back.
Not just next month, like next week.
Yeah, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We still haven't got our tickets for Wednesday's game. We're trying to figure out exactly where we want to be. Thursday, we are courtside. We're literally the third row of courtside, right behind the Sacramento Kings bench. So make sure you guys...
I'm going to ask De'Aaron if he'll let me take his spot for the day.
Make sure you guys check that. Bryce, if you want to get us some tickets for Wednesday's game, we'd be very much appreciative.
Lane's right. It's Tuesday's game.
For that. Oh, sorry, Tuesday's game.
We have tickets for Wednesday courtside.
Yes.
Tuesday's game.
All my days are messed up. Wednesday, we're courtside. Tuesday, we still don't have tickets. But the thing that you guys really need to know is that Calvin and I are going to be doing post-game live at a bar right next to the arena, Calvin. You want to make the announcement?
That's right. We will be doing 2 live, like really live, post-game shows at Punch Bowl Social right next to Golden One Center. So if you don't run into us at the arena during the game, stop by Punch Bowl Social afterwards. Come hang out, watch the show, and who knows, maybe we'll get like a Royal Rebounds bowling lane after that for the night or something.
Even if you do run into us at the arena, come see us at Punch Bowl. We're going to be giving out a little bit of gear, some shirts, and we're just going to be having a fun time. We're going to do the normal post-game show, so if you guys want to be in the background, we're going to have the bar behind us, and we just love to chat and hang out with you guys. After the show, we'll hang out and have a couple beers, play some video games, just have an overall good time. So make sure you guys come meet up with us at Punch Bowl Social on the 8th and the 9th, Tuesday, Wednesday, post-game.
Bryce says he'll get us cheap, good tickets if we let him be on the show.
Okay, anytime, man. But you got to come to Punch Bowl Social.
Yeah.
You guys can all be on the show if you guys come to Punch Bowl Social. Yes, Dennis, both nights we will be there. As soon as we can get out of the arena, however long it takes for us to get
but we will be there
out of the arena. Vinny's going to leave a little bit early. Thank you for the sacrifice, Vinny. And he's going to make sure everything's set up so we can literally walk in the building and go. So make sure you guys all join us for that. All right, Calvin. So back on the trade deadline, as I mentioned, February 10th. Any other thoughts regarding the trade deadline? Any other guys that you've seen that could potentially be available? Or, I mean, how are you going into the next week and a half?
I'm burning the midnight candle or whatever the expression is every single day, which I feel like Monty McNair's going to do anyway, but they can leave no stone unturned here. I'm calling every team in the NBA over the next week, and I'm picking, my 2 or 3 favorite players on that team, and I'm saying, what is it going to cost to get these guys? Because this team just does not work. I don't know how many times I've said it, but it does not work. They need to make wholesale changes. So they gotta burn the candle at both ends. Thank you. They gotta do it, man. They gotta put in the work. They got to make moves. We've talked about so many different types of deals that the Kings could potentially make, and there are many of them that I would be happy about. But at the end of the day, they just need to make moves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I could put it any more eloquently than that. They need to make a trade.
Yes, Bryce, Tuesday's game is the one we need tickets for.
At this point, I'm kind of like, should they trade De'Aaron Fox? I know I've been back and forth on this, and I'm not just going to trade him to trade him. I'm only trading him if the deal I get back helps improve this Kings team. But as you mentioned, like, lots of trades need to happen. They need to move some guys in, some guys out. I think we need to figure out who the dog is going to be on this team. I really like what I've seen from Davion as far as him starting. But as you mentioned, that also puts you in more questions. And is this guy big enough? You're starting him and Tyrese next to each other. What does that mean? What could you potentially get back in a De'Aaron Fox trade? But I have to say, man, Marcus Smart is one of the guys on the top of my list. And that's because I feel like he is that dog and he is available or potentially available. I can't think of any other guy in the league right now that's as available and that would have a cultural impact on this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to be targeting a mixture of, young players with a lot of upside, but also very legit veteran role players that are going to not just have a big, we all thought Tristan Thompson would be one of those types of people at the beginning of the season. And I'm sure he did have a good impact on the team from his veteran leadership and experience in the league. However, now he doesn't even play for them anymore. So they need people that are going to have that type of impact on the team, the morale, all that stuff, but also guys who are going to contribute on the court. Marcus Smart is a great example of that.
Yep. Alex is saying he was a little emotional in calling the Kings the Sacramento Nothings.
That's like one of the nicest things I've heard them called in weeks.
What's your new nickname for them?
I like the Sacs.
The Sacs?
Yeah, like the SNL skit.
Yeah, you don't like
Sacs.
What about Sacramento basketball team?
I love the Sacramento basketball team, but the problem is the football teams did it first, so it doesn't sound as good. But I thought that was a really, really clever name, and shout out to Skip for dropping that.
Go Sacs.
Go Sacs, though.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I didn't want to bring this up, but since you guys are bringing up Tristan Thompson and all this, I saw this weird article today that was talking about Instagram models being invited. Apparently some TikTok girl posted this on her TikTok that she was being invited to a private party after a Sacramento Kings game, and LeBron James was going to be there, Tristan Thompson was going to be there, and there was going to be over 30 Instagram models. It ended up being a scammer or a fake person trying to get girls to go to this location. So she kind of exposed it. But it's just like, man, we can't catch a break here. We're getting mentioned in potential scams of people trying to, I don't even know what they're trying to do, but leave the Kings out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
You know what they say, all publicity is good publicity.
We haven't heard about Brandon Ingram for a while.
It's true, we have not.
What do you think about Brandon Ingram for De'Aaron Fox, straight up? I'm a lot more open to this deal than I am the Sabonis deal.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I think trading for Brandon Ingram would be a good move. It would be a good move.
Guy says, no, David Griffin likes Ingram. I mean, I'm not sure how much longer David Griffin will actually be in New Orleans. We've heard that he's having issues with Zion. We saw how quickly he exited Cleveland with the drama surrounding LeBron James and all that. So, honestly, I don't know. But I'd be much more open to a De'Aaron Fox for Brandon Ingram trade than I would for a guy like Sabonis. And that's not a knock on Sabonis at all. It's just I feel like small forwards, especially guys that can shoot, are so valuable in this league. We all talk about how the problem with your best player not being able to shoot, and Sabonis can shoot, but who's taking the last shot? I would much rather have Brandon Ingram taking the last shot in this team than a Sabonis, a Buddy, anybody else. So if I'm trading Fox, I'd rather at least get a closer or somebody that I can rely on late in games.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to trade De'Aaron Fox, you need to get back a number one option in return. I think Sabonis can be a number one option, but like you said, are you going to give him the ball and clear it out with a tie game or down 2, with 10 seconds left?
Yeah.
He definitely can go and get buckets in those situations. But yeah, you want a more skilled and polished offensive player in those situations.
Oh, man. Jonathan says, what about Zion for Fox? Straight up thoughts. Alfie comes right in with the zinger. How large is Zion? Would he fit in this trade? I mean, we had talked about a potential move for Zion, and that to me is like the biggest gamble that you can make, right? Like the highest reward, but also the highest risk. De'Aaron Fox makes significantly more money than Zion. So if you were to do a deal, there would have to be some fillers coming from the Pelicans.
Which I don't really see as a bad thing, because you're getting Zion on a really cheap deal, which, again, it is a risk. But you're also going to get some other players and maybe even picks involved in that deal as well. Like you could add to other areas of depth on your team, like a wing or a really good defender or something. You could get, potentially, if Zion comes back at 100%, you get one of the more dominant players in the league plus help to balance out your roster for Fox. And maybe even a pick, which could be a really good draft pick.
Yeah, and that brings in my next point here. Guy says Randall for Fox. I feel like this is kind of the same thing as a Sabonis deal. And, yes, I said okay to Ingram for Fox, but I'm generally not trying to move Fox for one other player. I'm looking to fill multiple positions that this Kings team needs. That's why I've been so adamant that maybe a Fox for Miles Turner, LeVert in a first-round pick. You help at two positions, and you get a pick to move on. There's very few guys in the league that I would trade De'Aaron Fox for straight up. It's got to be guys like Anthony Davis, things or guys that will make a huge impact and push this team forward. Otherwise, I feel like you can't do a lateral move. You got to trade Fox for multiple pieces.
I agree 100%.
All right, Calvin. Anything else you want to talk about here before we move on and talk about the next week of basketball action?
Shout out to my man Trade Fox. I don't know what is your name actually, but Trade Fox for Brandon Ingram or Sabonis now ASAP. Like, I just don't ever see anybody in the chat that changes their username mid show. So props, dude. Shout out.
You guys are awesome. We really appreciate you guys for taking time out of your day. It sucks seeing these losses pile up, but you guys are all here afterwards hanging out with us and keeping us entertained, and I think it helps all of us as a group. Just wait till the Kings are good, how much fun we're going to be having in these post games, Calvin.
Yep. It's
going to be a lot of fun. So, to remind you guys real quick.
My ankles don't fail me by that time, and I have to, wheelchair myself in here.
So February 8th, 9th, make sure you guys catch us at a Kings game live, and we will be at Punch Bowl Social afterwards for the post game. All right, we're going to take another quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Kings' next game and next week of action with Kings Crusade.